Anandmath, The Abbey of Bliss by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Characters, Summary, Analysis. Hello and welcome to the Discourse. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee was the most prominent novelist, essayist, poet and journalist of India in 19th century who wrote more than 17 novels and many essays. Initially he wrote romantic novels infused with strong feelings of nationalism, and gradually he started writing political novels strengthening the calls for Indian freedom struggle. In 1882, he published his most popular novel Anandmath in Bengali, which was soon translated into English as The Abbey of Bliss. The first translation was by Naresh Chandra Sengupta in 1906. In 1909, another translation by Shri Aurobindo Ghosh and Barindrakumar Ghosh appeared. And in 1941, Basanta Koomar Roy published his translation of Anandmath as Dawn over India. The recent translation of Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's Anandmath was by Julius J. Lipner in 2005 and was titled Anandmath or the Sacred Brotherhood. The novel is a historical fiction that fictionalizes the sannyasi rebellion of the late 18th century, 1770 to 1777, and mixes it with two love stories. Anandmath is considered one of the most important novels in the history of Indian literature, as it strengthened the Indian freedom struggle. The novel is also known for one of its poetic songs of it titled Vande Mataram, Hail to Motherhood, which was later adopted as the national song of India by the Indian Congress in October 1937. On January 24, 1950, the Constitution Assembly of India declared Vande Mataram as the national song of the Free Indian Republic. Characters: Mahendra is a wealthy landlord of a high class living in his village Padachinna with his wife Kalyani and daughter Sukumari. Mahendra and Kalyani deeply love each other, but they face troubles as persistent famine forces them to see days of struggles. Unable to sustain in the village, the couple venture into the nearby city of Calcutta to find ways to earn a living. Mahatma Satya is a leader of sannyasis struggling against the atrocious government headed by Muslim rulers Mir Jafar, aided by the British East India Company that got the right to collect taxes. While the general populace of Bengal was suffering extreme hunger and poverty due to persistent famine, the rulers were competing to collect more taxes from those who could barely feed their family members. In a cruel move, Muhammad Reza Khan, the king's revenue officer, thinking to show how important he was, at once increased taxes by 10%, and great was the lament in Bengal. This not affected general people but also created troubles for sannyasis who were dependent on the alms offered by common people to them. They raised their voices against the cruel taxation system and hence came directly in conflict with the East India Company, which had the right to collect taxes through atrocious means. The drastic situations also raised rates of crimes and the number of dacoits, and it became difficult to distinguish between a sannyasi and a dacoit. Bhavan is a brave disciple of Mahatma Satya who leads the ascetics in his absence and dies while fighting against the British soldiers. Jeevan and Shakti are the two other loving couple in the novel. Jeevan is a young man who marries a poor orphan girl Shakti as he loves her. However, considering the situation of society and the condition of people in general, he decides to leave his family and join the forces of Mahatma Satya for the independence of his nation. Shakti, being a woman, is left with Jeevan's elder sister Nirmala or Nimi. However, Shakti finds it difficult to stay away from Jeevan and decides to join the ascetic forces disguised as a male soldier. Later on, her disguise is turned out and Mahatma Satya decides to send her back. But she, with her bravery and strength, proves that though she is a woman, she is no less a soldier than any man and becomes an integral part of the ascetic army against the British forces. Summary of Anandmath, Abbey of Bliss or Sacred Brotherhood. Anandmath is a romantic story of two loving couples who meet and struggle for a common goal as fate brings them on the same path. The novel is divided into 4 parts. The first part introduces Mahendra, who is the leader of his village. He finds it difficult to collect and pay taxes to the British tax collectors because at heart he is a benevolent person who cares for his village members. Because of famine, all lands are dry and people are dying of hunger. In such a situation, he finds it difficult to sustain living in the village and decides to go to Calcutta with his wife Kalyani and daughter Sukumari to earn means of living. During their journey to Calcutta, they witness the extreme effects of famine. Hunger has turned some people to take the path of crime as they have become robbers, trying to rob anything they can get from others. Situations have turned so drastic that some man-eating robbers just catch and eat any animal or human they see. The famine compelled the people of that area to feed on the flesh of other humans. As they move forward, they are attacked by a gang of robbers, and as they run for their life, Mahendra and Kalyani get separated. Sukumari is with her mother while Mahendra tries to look for them but fails. Meanwhile, Kalyani keeps running with Sukumari in her arms and collapses near a river while man-eating dacoits are hunting for her. Suddenly, an ascetic, Mahatma Satya, comes to her rescue and saves her against the dacoits. He then takes her and her daughter to his ashrama, where there are many other ascetics and Sanatanas. Sanatana are not ascetics or sannyasis, but they are those ordinary men who have joined the groups of sannyasi to fight against the atrocious tax-collecting regime of the Muslims and British rulers. One of them is Jivan, a bright, brave young man, and another one is Bhavan, who is the leader of Sanatanis. Meanwhile, Mahendra also comes face to face with another band of sannyasis, and Mahendra takes the sannyasis for robbers. He says, but a bad job. Banditry is no less. However, sannyasis try to convince him that they are not robbers. Rather, they try to save people against such psychologically ill people who have turned inhuman and are robbing and eating other people. The sannyasis then say that their aim is to fight against the cruel taxation regime that has forced humans to turn against other humans. Mahendra feels a strong emotion of humanism, nationalism, and a sense of duty in those ascetics, and he thinks of joining them. The sannyasis take him to the ashrama. Kalyani is also in the same ashram, but Mahendra is unaware of her presence. The sannyasis describe their goals and ideas to Mahendra in more elaborative terms and explains how India was before the British and Muslim invaders came, how India is while suffering the plundering of foreign invaders, and how India will be in future when their motherland will be freed of foreign invaders. Mahendra gets inspired and decides to join the forces of monks to achieve the common goal of freedom in the motherland. Mahatma Satya says that if he has to join their forces, he must leave his family. Kalyani observes him from a distance while he isn't aware of her presence and decides to not become an obstacle in his dream of fighting for and serving Mother India. She takes some poison and offers it to her daughter Sukumari to drink, and then she drinks the poison herself, thereby relieving Mahendra of his worldly duties. At the same moment, British soldiers who were trying to catch the rebels attack the ashram and arrest Mahendra and Satya, while other ascetics try to run away and save themselves. In the conundrum, one of the ascetics sings a song informing others whereabouts of Sukumari and Kalyani to save them. When Jivan and Bhavan listen to his song, they run to save Kalyani and Sukumari. Jivan finds Sukumari, who is taking her last breaths as she has taken poison. He gets a herbal antidote and saves her life. He then takes her to his sister Nimi's home to keep her in safety. Bhavan finds Kalyani and saves her too with the same herbal antidote. However, he is too impressed by her beauty and feels a strong force of affection towards her. The second part describes the love story of another couple, Jivan and Shakti. Shakti was an orphan Brahmin girl whose mother died at an early age. Her father taught her mathematics, philosophy, and literature, but he died too before she could stand on her feet. When Jivan meets this poor orphan girl, he falls in love with her and marries her. However, the situation of society forces him to think of joining the rebellion group of sannyasis to fight against the atrocious government. However, he must be free of worldly relationships to join the sannyasi forces. Thus, he decides to leave Shakti at his sister Nimi's home and goes away to the sannyasi ashram and becomes a Sanatani. Shakti finds it difficult to live without Jivan and decides to disguise himself as a man and joins the ascetic rebels to live near Jivan. One day, her disguise is revealed and she gets caught. Mahatma Satya orders her to leave the ashrama, but she resists and claims that she is as brave and strong as any man in the sannyasi forces. She then lifts the mighty bow of Mahatma Satya, which only Satya, Bhavan or Jivan could lift. This impresses Mahatma Satya, who allows her to stay and fight against the British forces as a female fighter. Jivan, Bhavan and Shakti decide to attack the British forces and rescue Mahatma Satya. While doing so, they rescue Mahendra too. As he comes back to the ashrama, he meets Kalyani. When Bhavan sees the devotion of Kalyani towards Mahendra, he finds himself full of guilt. In the third part, the ascetic forces continue to fight against British forces and to safeguard themselves against British attacks. They decide to make a small fort of bricks. In the fourth part, the British army is in full force, decides to attack the brick fort of sannyasis and end the rebellion once and for all. The brick fort is on the other side of a river with a bridge in between. The shrewd British commander first orders his army to march towards the brick fort on the other side, and as the British soldiers reach the bridge, he orders them to retreat and hide. The untrained and inexperienced sannyasis feel elated as they see British soldiers retreating and running away. In their excitement, they come out and try to catch the British soldiers. As soon as a huge number of sannyasi rebels get on the bridge to cross it, the British army throws fire cannons on the bridge and thus killing a huge number of sannyasis in one go. It creates havoc in the sannyasi camp, but some attentive sannyasi soldiers, including Bhavan, Jivan and Mahendra, capture some of the cannons and turn the fire back onto the East India Company lines. The East India Company forces are forced to fall back, the rebels winning their first battle. Bhavan, while fighting bravely gets martyrdom. In the end, Mahatma Satya says that the fight for freedom will continue with new soldiers and faces and decides to follow his guru to the Himalayas for penance. Shakti too suggests to Jivan that they should lead a life as saints and visit the Himalayas, and he agrees. Mahendra and Kalyani decide to make a new home and give a proper education and life for their kids, Sukumari, and the novel ends. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee was a known Hindu Vaishnavite nationalist. He introduced certain elements in his fictional drama that appear inspired by Vaishnav stories. When Mahatma Satya explains the purpose of ascetic rebels to Mahendra, he shows him 3 temples with 3 different idols of Mother India. The first one is of goddess Parvati, Jagadhatri. Satya says that this is what Mother India was. And the second one is goddess Kali. Satya says that this is what Mother India has become, and we sannyasis are her ganas. The third idol is goddess Durga in all her beauty and wealth. Mahatma Satya says that this is what Mother India would be in the future. Again, when Shakti is caught as a woman disguising as a man to be with ascetic rebels near her husband Jivan, she resists the decision of Satya to make her leave the ashram and shows her strength by lifting up a mighty bow that only a few could use, and reminds of goddess Sita, who could easily lift and use Pinaka, the bow of Shiva, as a child. Seeing her strength, Satya allows her to stay in ashram and be a vital soldier in the fight against Muslim and British invaders. Mahatma Satya himself reminds us of Krishna, guiding the rebel fighting for the establishment of moral order or dharma against the immoral and inhuman tax regime led by Muslim and British forces. So this is it for today. We will continue to discuss the history of Indian English literature. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.